Ag Week Weather is sponsored by Bremer Bank. Connect with a banker today at bremer.com.
Are we headed for even drier weather? Here's our Agri-weather outlook.
I'm meteorologist Jared Piepenburg here with your Ag Week weather this week. More summer heat is in store for us. More of the same which we've had here as we've been continuing throughout June. So the summer heat will be in store for most of the northern plains and upper Midwest. We're going to take a look at the drought monitor, see our dry conditions across parts of the Dakotas and in Minnesota, what it's looking like in the central plains, which is still quite dry and still looks like better shot for showers and thunderstorms will be kind of in the Pacific Northwest and kind of the western side of the Dakotas. And I'll break that down for you here over the next couple of weeks. Here's a look at the U.S. drought monitor. Still very, very dry conditions in the central plains. Up here in the northern plains, the yellow shaded area is the dry. Of course, the no color is where things have been improving. Definitely for parts of the area. We do have some pockets of the moderate conditions and some severe conditions down south of Sioux Falls right now. Let's check out the upper air flow pattern coming up here. Most of the month we've had this ridge in place, which will still hold in place here as we head throughout the day ahead into the first part of the work week. But we're going to be tracking a big dip in the upper atmosphere across the Pacific Northwest, bringing some wet weather across Portland, Vancouver area, and then across the higher elevations just off toward our west. And that pattern will bring a few waves of energy across the northern plains and parts of the upper Midwest as well, which could bring some scattered showers and storms. But the general pattern here is still holding on to some of that heat for this next week. All right, precipitation outlook. This is the 6 to 10 day outlook. So this week coming up here, we'll be looking at that upper level dip in the atmosphere, bringing the wet weather across the Pacific Northwest. And that does kind of bleed into parts of our area as well. And just east of us, still expecting some dry conditions. There's a jet down toward the south, grabbing some of that Gulf moisture, keeping some of those Gulf Coast states a little bit wetter, while it'll be a little bit drier down near Texas and the southern parts of the plains. Here's a little closer view of home here with that 6 to 10 day outlook with a little better shot on the western side of the Dakotas. Maybe have above average precipitation coming up here in that 6 to 10 day outlook. Otherwise, more of the same. This has looked identical here for all of the month with above average temperatures for the 6 to 10 day outlook. A little bit cooler with that dip off across the west coast and a little cooler across the Atlantic coastline as well. Temperature outlook going into next week. This is almost identical as well, with above average temperatures here in the northern plains and upper Midwest to be expected. We've had a lot of 80s and 90s, and looks like more of that will be in store here as we head toward the later part of the month. Precipitation outlook here for next week, still looking fairly similar, with just above average precipitation, just looking a little bit more likely, and that does include parts of our area. And this looks very similar to our setup here that we have going on this coming week. All right, precipitation outlook for the month of June. It's held pretty strong with above average precipitation outlook across parts of the higher elevations, a little drier across the Great Lakes, although we have had some showers and storms. And I'm still thinking for the rest of the month of June here, we'll end up staying quite warm for parts of the northern plains and upper Midwest.